There's a pressure in ministry we don't talk about enough. It's not about growth. It's not about giving. It's relational pressure. You are surrounded by people, right? As a pastor, you have maybe staff, you have elders, volunteers, church members. You spend hours talking and leading and helping, and yet it's so easy to feel alone. I know that feeling. I have been there lots of times. Today, I want to show you how you can fix it with the help of Jesus's own example. When I first became a lead pastor, I was relationally overwhelmed. People said that they wanted to support me. I'm sure people have told you that, but many of them, or I don't know, it felt like most, had an agenda. I let some people probably get too close, kind of too quickly, and it backfired. So I did what most pastors kind of do in response. I just pulled back. I shut people out. I led relationally, but I really didn't trust anyone, at least deeply trust them. I eventually realized, though, the problem wasn't the people. It was me not having a relational strategy. Jesus had a relational strategy. Did you know that? I mean, I'm sure you've read through this and maybe you even noticed it before, but I mean, Jesus, he didn't give everyone the same access. He had the crowds, the 70, he had the 12, he had the three, and then he had the one. He loved everyone, right? But he didn't confide in everyone. When I really began to process and think about it, it was a game changer for me. So here's kind of what I developed, at least for myself, and what I've begun teaching others as a coach and pastoral kind of consultant. It's the 4 relational circles that every pastor needs. Let me just walk through them very quickly. And this is simple, right? This isn't rocket, science, but I think it's so important to understand. Here's the first one I mentioned earlier, the crowd. That really is the public, right? This is your broader congregation or maybe even your community that you live in. You see these people weekly or, 1.4 times when they attend. They hear your sermons, which is a weird kind of relational thing because they kind of feel close to you, but you're not really that close to them. They know a lot about you, or at least they feel like they know a lot about you. You've probably in sermons, you share stories about yourself or about your family. Hopefully you get their permission first, but you're doing all those things. So people in the crowd, the public, they do feel like they know you. And in a way they kind of do, but they don't really know you. This circle though, right? They get the least access to your inner life. They may kind of understand your outer world, your outer life. They hear you speak a lot, but they have very little access, probably no access to your inner life. And that's probably a safe thing. The second group is the team. And this is really kind of your professional circle, really. This could be your staff, if you have that, or elders. Hopefully everybody has a board of some sort. These are the people that you're kind of on a mission together with, but you're still the leader. So you're absolutely friendly. You are kind of not transparent completely, though. That's not always 100% wise. Now, just kind of quick caveat with that. Some of you are in situations with elders where you can be more transparent, and that's not a bad thing. But when you think about your staff team or maybe kind of the volunteer team that you're working with, this is not the group for you to be fully transparent with. This isn't the place where you unpack the skeletons or your dirty laundry with. I mean, there is a place for that, and we'll get to it in a second, but this kind of professional team is not it. As a leader, leadership is isolating in some way anyway, right? Because you're the boss, you're the ultimate decision maker. If you are in charge of a person's employment, you're never going to be like as close to them as you could be. I learned this throughout my tenure in leadership, whether it was in marketplace leadership or in ministry leadership. I had 2 people when I was the lead pastor at Woodstock City who I genuinely loved as friends. I was as close to them as you can get while still being the leader, but they would take vacations sometimes together and I didn't go along. I wasn't invited. And that didn't bother me. And the reason is I knew that my presence in that dynamic would kind of ruin a little bit of the dynamic. Why? Because no matter how much I want to pretend that I'm just a normal person, I'm the leader. I'm the one signing the paychecks. I'm the one who hired them. And I'm the one who ultimately gets the decision on whether they stay hired. So just in that leadership circle, there's always going to be a little bit of a gap, and that's okay. It's professional to operate that way. Let's talk about this third circle. The third group is the inner circle. This is the personal circle. These are your probably 2 to 4 trusted friends. These people are, they're not fans of yours and they're not mentees of yours. They're kind of truth tellers who love you for you. They refresh you. They certainly don't drain you. I've mentioned this before, but I think it's worth mentioning again. I intentionally found 3 men. Now, these men were happened to be in my church. I don't know that that's always the safest group of people, but I got to know these people very, very well through small groups and things like that. And I knew their heart for Jesus, for our church, and for me was pure. And so after a good bit of time interacting with them, and I don't mean like a month, I mean a couple of years, I asked those 3 men if they would kind of join a circle with me and go to dinner once a month, but we would talk more than that. But the goal of this circle, and this sounds selfish, but I think it was helpful, was me. I didn't want to go to dinner with them to hear about their trials and tribulations, about their families. I wanted to go and have them ask about me. I wanted to have a safe place where I could unpack, where I could vent, where I could just be me, be fully me, without all of the eyeballs and without all the expectations. And I got to tell you, that group, that we probably had 7 years of that, game changing for me. So who are those people for you? I always encourage pastors, if you can find somebody not in your church, that's better, because if they need you on any level, it might be hard for them to separate that need of you so they can provide to you. But it can be done if you find the right people. But find 2 to 4 of those people and create an inner personal circle. And here's the last one. 4th group is the safe one. I hope for you, this could be your spouse. If you're married and it isn't, I'd love for you to try to work on that. If you're not married, it could be someone else. It could be a counselor, by the way. It could be a trusted kind of lifelong friend who has been there through it all. By the way, maybe someone who knew you and watched you and interacted with you, did life with you before you became a pastor. I mean, that's a pretty important element to this, I think. So this is kind of a full access person. I mean, zero filter, complete emotionally safe. Like, you absolutely need this person, and so does your soul. Yeah, I made these changes kind of slowly, right? But I built that inner circle very intentionally. And you know what I did? I also stopped expecting my wife to carry all 4 of those categories. When I found those guys and I made that inner circle, my marriage got better because I wasn't expecting my wife to carry all of that weight. I had another outlet for some of those discussions and conversations and frustrations. So I would encourage you to do those things, to get all 4 of those circles in place and to understand who fits in each one. It's exactly what Jesus did. So listen, if you're under relational pressure, here's what I would love for you to do, maybe this week or at some point when you have a break, which I know there's not a lot of those, but when you have a moment to just process, here's what I would love for you to do. Number 1, audit your current relationships. Like, who's actually in your life, and are they in the right circles? Like, who belongs where? The second thing you can do is define that funnel or that target we just talked about. I think you should clarify who gets what kind of access to you. Number 3, invest intentionally. Make time for those people who really do fill your tank. This could be that 2 to 4 people, right? It could be your spouse, but who is filling you up, not draining from you? And you know this as a pastor, and this is why you got into it, to help people. But you can't constantly pour out without anybody pouring back into you. Who's doing that for you? You have to invest intentionally in that relationship. It's not selfish. It's actually a stewardship of your role. And then the last thing, you have to protect your energy. And you should not feel guilty about having boundaries. That is healthy for you. I mean, remember, even Jesus didn't lead alone, right? You don't need to have more conversations. What you really need to do is have more clarity around who you're having conversations with. And this doesn't mean that you're weak for needing support. If you're feeling that, you need to get rid of that thought. This is not about being weak, it's about being wise. You're wise when you build relational infrastructure intentionally. That's how you can reduce some of this relational pressure. Until next time.